Hugh Bennett joins us, Deputy Editor at BrexitCentral.com. Hugh, you've written quite a lot about the customs union and indeed particularly with regard to the Northern Ireland border, which is always the thing that people hold up as the barrier to whatever the government wants to do here. Jenny Chapman says, well, Britain could have a seat at the table. Isn't that an attractive proposition?
No, I think the Labour policy on customs union is really, people like to talk about unicorns with Brexit and stuff. There's no bigger unicorn than Labour's policy on the customs union. You know, the idea that the EU is going to give Britain a seat at the table, it's sort of, is Britain as one country going to have as much power as the other 27? The EU is not going to let Britain get involved. Their policy has been very clearly, once you're not a member, you've got no say. You have to follow the rules of no say. It's going to be no different with trade. And I think Labour are really selling the public a complete fallacy, this idea that Britain will somehow have control over the UK's trade policy. If we remain in a customs union.
Aren't Theresa May and David Davis doing exactly the same, though, selling the British public a pup, saying that we don't need to be in the customs union and that won't have any effect on the Northern Ireland border issue? The Northern Ireland border issue is surely not solvable unless there is some form of customs union.
Well, I don't think that's right, because I think there have been people looking at solutions for a long time now. I think actually Leo Varadkar's predecessor, Enda Kenny, started work on the technological solutions from the Irish side. This is looking at using modern border technology so you can have a combination of registering your goods in advance before they go across the border, combined with spot checks behind the border, customs inspections not taking place physically at the border itself, but actually set back on an intelligence-led basis, which carries out very much the same functions as having a physical border there would. And we're not talking about large quantities of trade here. This is stuff that can easily be managed. And the UK's top customs official, John Thompson, has said, we don't see any need for physical infrastructure. We can use these technological solutions to make the border work. And I think it's really for political reasons that you've had the EU and you've had Remainers in the UK and you've had the Irish government saying, oh no, it's never going to work, you've got to accept customs union. I think that they're deliberately trying to pour cold water on these technological solutions.
But why are they doing that? If these technological solutions exist, why wouldn't the EU welcome them?
Well, when you look at the EU's behaviour throughout the negotiations, all that's happened from day one, it's all been about control. The referendum from the UK's perspective was about control. We want to take back control. When you look at how the EU's negotiated so far, it's about stopping Britain taking back control. They want punishment clauses. If we violate terms of the transition deal, they want level playing field clauses to tie the UK in afterwards. They want all of these parts of the Brexit deal agreed to ensure that the UK has to stay as close as possible to EU regulations. Now, when we're just talking about trade, the UK can say, well, stuff you, we don't really like that. We'll accept maybe slightly looser access to the market, but we won't have control. But on the Irish border, they found a political pivot point where they can just keep pushing, they can keep applying pressure, and the UK has not managed to get its act together and really respond and push back on this. And the EU is just using this it really is a lever to try and negotiate the maximum control over Britain in whatever treaty it agrees afterwards.
Just finally, if Theresa May did back down, you and your colleagues talk to Leave supporting MPs all the time. How do you think they would react to that?
I think there would be a lot of Leave supporters that would be very unhappy about that. I don't think there'd be sort of concerted moves in a group, but I think individually you've got a lot of MPs. The whole platform about Brexit was taking back control. You're saying in the customs union, this is a fundamental part of the EU's legal architecture. And I think they would really think, Brexit, already there's a lot of things that they've been slightly unhappy about but have been happy to tolerate. The transition period, fishing during the transition, the Brexit divorce payment. Leavers have tolerated this on the assumption that the UK will have full legal independence once the transition period is over. But if it increasingly appears that full independence is not going to come at the end of the transition, then a lot of them might think, is this really the right person to be taking us through the Brexit negotiations?
Hugh, thank you very much indeed. That's Hugh Bennett, Deputy Editor